Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate. Science fiction on a screen so bright. Old classics and the new delights. The unapologetic geek will lead the way with facts and fun to fill your day. Discussing every detail, every frame, from the eerie to the loud and the tame. Gig along with all that's great. Those Sunday vibes you can't debate. Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate.
You know, sometimes when I'm falling asleep at night, I will hear that song in my head, and I'll just my eyes will snap open. I'll be like, not that song again.
You're welcome.
I wake up crying because I had this dream of that song.
Well, anyways,
the same old song.
Greetings from South Carolina. Okay, I got that out the way.
Yeah, very important.
yeah,
Welcome
I'm
to
from SoCal.
St. Louis.
Well, we can't all be from someplace cool. It's okay.
Anyway, we are going to continue our discussions of remakes because this is an inexhaustible subject. But I did want to go ahead and say hi to the people in the chat. We've got Snarky is here. Hello, Snarky. Mike Silva is here. Hello, Mike. Vim Vanderstraten, as always. Good to see you.
BB.
We got Freeside and Susanna Morhion.
Susanna.
I have no idea. Proud single mother.
There you go.
I'll watch her. I checked her out sleeping for like 2 hours in a row yesterday.
Yeah.
That's
I popped in a couple times. I was like, I gotta go to bed.
The least annoying person on YouTube because she sleeps.
Yeah, I like going over there. It's a lot of fun.
the narcoleptic channel. Love it. Love it.
Well, there's not a lot of competition for least annoying YouTuber. So.
Well, they are few and far between. That is true.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring up the most annoying YouTuber.
There's so many.
Stiff competition there, let me tell you.
But if you want to know, I'll give you a clue. Freaky guy, lives in Florida, looks like Weird Al Yankovic. That's all I got to say. Some people will know, some people won't.
If you know,
I didn't call no names, YouTube. I didn't call no names. Not me tomorrow.
Hello, John. Oh, and there he is. There's Indy.
Hi, Andy.
Greetings.
I was thinking a few nights ago before I was falling asleep that Andy was really an AI, but the most sophisticated AI around, and he's going to make sure that we don't get taken over by the other ones because I've met some of those other AIs, and no, we don't want them in charge.
I think
you say that was a dream. That sounds real to me.
No, I said I was falling asleep before I was falling asleep, right?
Oh, okay.
It was real. I had these visions. I remote viewed him or something. Look, magic.
The only thing scarier than an AI takeover is an AI civil war where two try to take over and they fight each other. Because you know who's going to get stuck in the middle, right, guys?
Yeah, I'll be asking them for to make a thumbnail, and they'll never get to it because they're just too busy launching AI missiles at each other. I'll be like, no.
Well, that's how Colossus started. As it was like the two super AIs fighting each other, and then eventually they found it. They caused a truce and then took over the world.
Awesome.
Answer a question real quick. Does Girl Scouts still go door to door selling their little cookies?
Door to door? I doubt it. They just sell them at Walmart.
Yesterday afternoon, about 3:00, knock on the door. They didn't ring the doorbell, mind you. They come up beating on the door. Bam, 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 bam. So I go over to the door and I open the door, and there's two little Girl Scouts standing there. Now, check this out. They were identical twins with blonde hair and big blue eyes, and they were wearing black Girl Scout outfits. And they asked me if I wanted to buy some Girl Scout cookies. And I don't know. I swear it was like I couldn't speak. They were mind controlling me. And I was,
Instead of getting visits from Men in Black, you get visits from Girl Scouts in Black.
it was like I wanted to buy them cookies. I wanted to buy them cookies so bad. I mean, I really wanted them damn cookies. I was like, I gotta have them. But luckily, I don't keep cash, and they don't pay plastic. So I bought Girl Scout cookies. But
They probably were taking your
people about it. They didn't come to my door. So apparently they just picked me out of random to show up and try to sell me some cookies. And the Men in Black usually bother most people, but I have the Men in White. They drive white cars and wear white suits.
Yeah.
Believe me, the video's up on YouTube, man.
No wonder you believe in the Mandela effect. You're in a different universe from the rest
I
of us.
know. It's weird here.
I thought it was called Mandela effect.
Yeah.
You see what I did there? You see what I did there? In my
If
universe.
it was only just the Mandela effect, dude. I keep expecting I keep expecting that Keanu Reeves looking guy to come walking up with sunglasses.
Which cookies?
You're in the Matrix,
With
my
cookies.
friend.
With cookies.
That's really damn clever. I hope people got that.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. Okay, so remakes. I actually wanted to go ahead and start with one that we should have mentioned probably in part one, but we never got around to it, and that is The Thing. We never talked about The Thing, which blows my mind. That we're on part 3, and only now are we going to talk about The Thing. Because, again, it's with the weird definition of remakes. This is a remake. It's not necessarily taking the original movie and remaking that movie. They're just remaking the same source material. The John Carpenter version of The Thing is a lot truer to the source material, in fact. It's not quite 1-to-1, but it's a lot closer than The Thing from Another World, which is basically just... Nowadays, we would think of The Thing from Another World as your typical 1950s alien invasion movie where, like, you've got your scientist, your mad scientist, and you got your military guy, and, they have to decide how they're going to approach this invading monster and deal with it, and he's a giant vegetable monster for some reason.
We prefer the term walking carrot.
Walking carrot, yes. Don't get me wrong. The Thing from Another World is a great movie, and it's kind of like the prototype of that kind of movie because it came out before all the ones you're probably thinking of. And
did you ever play the video game to The Thing?
No, I've been meaning to.
You got to do that. It's awesome.
That's what I hear.
You got to keep your team calm. It's not as easy as you think because they like to freak out over everything.
Is that the one where it's like in the old it starts out where you go out to the crash site and you stand in a circle in the ice and
probably
blow it up and get it out? It's like
it
starts out like the original old movie the video game does.
Oh no, I don't remember that at all. I just remember playing it in the thing. I can't really remember how it started out. Look, I long-term borrowed that game.
When I played the video game, it wasn't like John Carpenter's The Thing with mutant monsters. It was like the old you fighting a giant carrot movie.
No, that's not the game I played. No, it was just like the movie, and
I'm old.
keep your team calm and stuff. It was really cool.
As I understand it, the video game is more of a sequel to the John Carpenter movie.
It's really good though, man. It's awesome.
Well, I like to think of The Thing from Another World and The Thing, even though they are inspired by the same source material. I really think of them as two completely separate movies because they're kind of
very different
in very, very different directions, but both equally good. I mean, I cannot knock Thing from Another World. The direction is amazing. It's incredibly atmospheric. The acting is surprisingly good for a 50s sci-fi movie. And Peter Arnez does an outstanding job as the carrot monster. That being said, John Carpenter's The Thing. I mean,
take note, guys. You gotta get the frame of mind of time. When John Carpenter made his movie, it was the 80s when special effects were at their all-time great, especially with models and stuff. Back in the 50s, they were working with what they had, and to get that result in the 1950s is phenomenal. You got to give these guys credit. They could
Does
have come
somebody
out.
have a picture of that carrot monster to show?
You know, most people who tried to come out with
I can
something
do
cool
that.
like this came out with the giant claw.
Well, the story behind that was they had actually gotten a top-rate effects company to do it, but then the company that was going to do it tried to extort more money out of them. So it was too late.
Mafia.
So they went with like some second-rate person and said, "To heck with it." By
Oh,
the
come on.
at that point,
Flying
they'll
Pete
be
out,
friends
it's
now.
not a remake of nothing.
But now, the great thing about John Carpenter's the thing, it's one of those movies where every time you see it, you pick up something new. And I love the fact that there's this very modern 21st century suggestion that, spoiler alert, by the way, just in case, that the two guys at the end are actually both rival things. They're actually like, they're not human, and it's not, one is an alien and one isn't. The idea is McCready and the David's character. I can't think of any name in my life, but Fuchs, not Fuchs. Anyway, moving forward.
Just let me
They're
focus
both
on
rival
you
aliens.
laughing, Sarah, but that thing right there in 1973 and 1974 was some scary stuff on a Halloween night to a little kid.
Yeah,
I
you
would
never
take your
really
word
get
for
that
it.
good of a look at him. Like, you never actually see him like
No,
this
you
in
don't.
this picture in the movie.
See,
Oh,
I
that's
was just
right.
thinking
The
of
lip.
what planet he developed on that he needed extra spikes on his fingers. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I want to understand that. It's weird. Okay.
Them is for hoeing because you got to plant his little seed everywhere.
They're
You gotta
probably just like rose thorns is probably what they were inspired by.
Well,
There's
anyways.
also one more thing that we overlooked. Sarah, I'm starting to feel like you think that I'm talking in a funny voice or something. Every time I say something, you laugh over me. So
She just
I
is
apologize.
constantly
I apologize.
laughing.
no, it's okay. But so we're good. We're good. I can go. Okay. There's another adaptation which is even looser still, and it's Horror Express.
True.
And it wasn't a Hammer film; it was some Spanish company, but it had Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, and it's actually a shockingly good movie, and it's done as a period piece, and it's effectively the same plot. But there's one caveat. There's one thing they do in this movie they don't do in the other two is the alien life is in fact intelligent, and there's actually a scene where the alien converses with a human and you actually get some exposition and backstory. And that's something that I always felt the other two begged for. We extrapolate what they're doing and what their motivations are and all that. But this he actually explains, hey, I got stuck here and I'm trying to get home. And this giggle goes to 11.
I don't know.
But,
Like, I
it
think
too was an adaptation.
I think that ambiguity of like not knowing, not having that exposition, not knowing what the motives of the thing are actually makes it more terrifying, right?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I just thought it was an interesting angle. But you're right, it is scarier to not know. I mean, the alien is either a killing machine or it thinks of us as so far down in the food chain it doesn't even bother explaining itself to us.
Yeah.
I don't
always
explain
went
myself
under-
to the ants when I stomp on the anthill.
I always went under the assumption that the thing was some kind of biological warfare from another planet sent to eradicate life on Earth.
That sounds like Alien.
But about the same
I
thing,
just-
you know.
I just assumed it got lost because space is so vast. It ended up here going, oh, no, not here.
Oh, and one last question. We've talked about this on several occasions, but I'm just going to throw it out there. That other science fiction movie, I believe it was called Life. Do you think that was at least inspired by Who Goes There?
I think it definitely had some similarities for sure. Yeah. I would be very, very surprised if the person who wrote Life wasn't at least familiar with Who Goes There. Yeah.
So, excellent choice. And you're right. I'm astounded we haven't brought it up.
That's crazy, right? It's like my go-to example of a remake that, if not better than the original, it's at least as good as the original because it is so wildly different. Yeah. So yeah, the thing. Sarah.
Awesome. Yeah.
now it's your turn.
Well, I did something crazy, okay? So I'm gonna bring this up. So I sort of mentioned it to you yesterday there, Geek. I I've been giving the remake of Battlestar Galactica like the roughest time, because when I was younger and it was out, I was like, what is this? Yeah. Anyways, but I did something crazy. I went back and revisited a few episodes with a friend, and they liked the show, but not as much as Geek, right? Anyways, but I gotta admit that I had to say this out loud to him with my words. It was crazy. Anyways, I told him that I might have been too harsh on the show, and I once I revisited it, it wasn't as bad as I remember it. So I apologize, Quito, because the original's still better, but it's not as bad as I remembered it. My eyes weren't bleeding like I thought they were going to. It was really good. So I must say, sometimes you just gotta go back and revisit things. So I will keep you updated on that after I watch some more of it, because I kind of plan to. And I said that out loud again. Sorry.
No, that's great. I mean, just don't watch the final episode, because it'll just undo all that hard work.
Oh, noted.
And I would just like to read this into the record. One of the funniest bits they ever did on The Office is when Jim is trying to get Dwight to like disregard his work and like waste some time fraternizing with the rest of the staff, because he's always complaining how everyone else does that. And he asked Andy, "Did you see Battlestar Galactica last night?" "No, how was it?" "Well, it wasn't very good." And you see Dwight go, and he eventually makes Dwight have like a nervous breakdown, because Dwight wants to talk about Battlestar so bad, but he can't. He just keeps goading him. So is it like the original? Oh, it's like a scene for scene remake of the original series.
Well, anyways, yeah. So I must admit that just going back and going with more open mind for sure. Yeah, it's been helpful. So Geek, that's your fault for letting me remember I could have an open mind again and go back to things. I blame you for that. Anyways, thank you.
And the good news is there's no Twiggy to worry about. So
that is a positive thing, and you're absolutely right. Okay. But yeah, no, I mean, at first I was like, I really hated the fact that the Cylons look, like humans, right? But then I find out, oh yeah, by the way, they also have the original looking ones too. But like,
you do eventually see the original Cylons, yeah.
They never had that in the previews. Anyway, so never mind about all that. So I was just like, that was like, I think my biggest pet peeve of the time I can think of. Anyways, so yeah, I highly recommend that we should all have an open mind to revisit some things. It's for the best.
Yeah, and now we know that Gaius Baltar, in addition to looking a lot like Dr. Bashir, is Picard's dad.
Yeah. So, well, anyways, yeah. So there we go. That's
well. I'm glad you're going back into it with an open mind.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. I love the original Battlestar Galactica. I grew up with it. Of course, I love it.
I love Lauren Green, dude.
I think the remake does a really good job of turning it more into like it's a darker story. It's more Deep Space Nine than original series Star Trek kind of thing.
Yeah, I like them both.
I really do. And that's not a coincidence. Ronald D. Moore did both.
Are you talking about the Battlestar remake with the guy from Miami Vice?
Yes.
And the one where Starbucks a girl.
Yes.
And it's the biggest piece of garbage that ever existed.
No, not that one. No, it's not the biggest piece of garbage.
I was a Dirk Benedict Starbucks fan, and to make him a girl was just a slap in the face to the actor who played that part. The remake was no nightmare with that pot-faced Lauren Green wannabe from Miami Vice. Oh boy!
Oh my god!
Oh, damn.
Ask me how I feel about Doctor Who.
Dude, I found a Doctor Who channel and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get lost in this. But I decided to have a nap this morning after I woke up, so we're good.
Oh, hey Tracy.
Bubble up.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Hi Tracy, and hi Tim, and who else came in? I
love the line in Big Bang Theory where Penny's boyfriend, who's not very bright, says, "What's that show your ex-boyfriend watches? It's the Australian guy who lives in the porta potty." And she goes, "Doctor Who?" Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
For some reason, that give me a shot pain in my head.
Oh my
Now, where
gosh.
were we?
Oh Lord.
Okay, anyways, yeah, so I had to make that, perfectly clear that that's what I was up to sometime this week. I did that. I watched a few of those and I was like surprised that I actually was enjoying them. So thank you again, Geek, for reminding me that I can revisit the past and have an open mind. Ow!
Good job.
Punch
I'm
compressor.
proud of you for being
Thank
able to.
you.
I'm
It's
just
actually
gonna
hard to
end
do.
with- I'm gonna end the Battlestar
Hmm.
Galactica thing with just by saying, in my opinion, that I had rather sit through Battlestar Galactica 1980s with two guys flying around on their motorcycles than one episode of the remake of Battlestar Galactica.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, Dan.
Let's not say things we can't
Wow.
take back.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, Gary Carpenter, how's it going?
I like my
Wolverine.
Cylons to look like robots. I don't like my Cylons to look like people. Just say.
Well, you can have both. They have both. It's kind of cool that both. Yeah, I see. I didn't even know, so I didn't give it that much of a chance. I kind of even lost a friend over that show.
Look like
So,
humans would be different, but not whole groups of them that look like humans. It was
Well.
just lazy booking, man. It was just a cheap way to get out of making costumes.
well,
I mean, like if you want to say cheap, I mean, compare the original to the remake. It's not even a contest. The remake or the original is way cheaper than the remake.
You can call it cheap if you want to, but it was averaging out the most expensive per episode TV show being made at the time. Look it up.
Why it was canceled.
Yes, I know
that was canceled. Oh my god.
Well, exactly.
It didn't last very long.
I wouldn't call it cheap.
And they recycled footage more and more every week to try to cut
That's
costs.
true.
There's that
They
one
did.
scene of the dun, 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 which they used in literally every episode, sometimes a couple times in the same episode.
Yeah.
How many different ways can it look when a ship blows up another ship, Pons? Tell me.
Exactly, so they can just reuse
Why do
the
you
footage.
shoot it different every
I was
week?
11, I didn't care.
I'm just busting balls, man. I'm just busting balls.
No, I'd
Well,
be
see-
playing along.
Oh, I know, Dan.
I'm playing.
Yeah,
This
but
is why I invite you on.
Well, see, another thing too is I
But I'm
sort of
being
lost.
absolutely honest about that Battlestar Galactica remake with that potty-faced freak being the commander. I did not like it.
Well, I even lost a friendship over that show. So if I ever encounter that chick again, I'll be like, "And by the way, you're right." And then she'll probably go, "That'd be great."
And forget about not being able to make it with Lauren Green. How could you do it without John Kalikos? John Kalikos is the one who made that show, really, in my opinion. Baltar had
Yeah.
more emphasis, more oomph, more than the rest of them put together.
You're
In
not
my
wrong.
humble opinion.
Yeah,
Wow.
you're not wrong.
But I got to admit though, when I was a kid and I had seen like almost all of the Western Bonanza, right? And so when I was watching Lauren Green in space, I was just like, this is so weird as a kid, right? So the fact that as a kid I could just give the original one even a chance too was pretty amazing because I used to have a real hard time seeing actors I grew up with as a kid in other roles. I think it had to do with William Shatner being a cop. What was that?
Oh no! Before that, I know exactly what you mean because I was all into Star Trek, and one day I saw William Shatner's face melt in the Devil's Rain, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Why my tiny little 8-year-old mind so much? My they killed Captain Kirk, man! You can't do that.
Well, yeah. So I had a lot of troubles with that when I was younger, but
He
I
was a
able
cop
to
and a
get it.
hooker. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyways, we
We
don't need to
have
talk
no-
about
That's
that.
By the way, and all that, whose bright idea was it to name the greatest captain of all time, Captain Kirk, William Shatner, hooker?
Well, obviously, every
all the
woman
names,
from the ship
man.
was like, "Nah, he's a hooker, I swear."
That's a good name. I'm gonna be
But-
hooker.
And his initials were the transverse of Captain Kirk. Instead of
Oh,
JT, it was TJ.
I used to
Yeah.
remember.
I never
I
made
just
that
used to
connection.
remember
Good job.
when TJ Hooker was coming on. I'd run to the house. I gotta hurry up and get TV on. It's almost time for Little Blue Riding Hood.
Oh, and here's one for you. Now you know the connection, of course. TJ Hooker was a cop show, and
My family's all law enforcement. I grew up with every cop show. Name one, and I probably watched it.
Gene Roddenberry started out as a cop, and he wrote for cop shows. So that there's like a police procedural connection there. But phonetically speaking, Spock spelled backwards is cops.
Dun dun dun.
And yes, I stab knights and doing stuff like this. Yes,
I just get caught with a K.
I said phonetically.
I
And
don't spell.
phonetically is not spelled phonetically.
No, it's not.
That always bothered me when I was a kid. Of all the words to be
I hope
spelled
everybody,
phonetically.
everybody out there watching this show is writing down all these fun and facts that you will find nowhere else but here.
I also
For a
always
written-
wanted palindrome to be a palindrome.
For a written transcript
Your mom's
of
a
today's
palindrome.
show, get a pencil and paper. I can't do everything for you. I lost track. Who's up?
You are.
I was watching this
I
show
know.
yesterday, and I put the little button down at the bottom where it says "show a transcript," and I swear it said, "Good luck, buddy."
And yes, Slasher Fred actually brings up a good point. Not a lot of people realize this, but the Maltese Falcon, the classic Maltese Falcon,
Oh,
is
that's
in
great.
fact a remake. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I don't know when you said Maltese Falcon. For some reason, I thought about the thing that Han Solo flew.
Millennium Falcon.
It's the Millennium Falcon, not the
Which
Maltese
was
Falcon.
a-
I know.
Well, for crying out loud, the Kessel Run he talks about. The
I'm
Kessel Run is from
I'm
World
still
War
trying
II.
to get over last night when I was supposed to be babysitting and I went on a live stream, and I swear when I went out and the live stream was starting, I left the kids watching the Grinch. I do not know how between the time I left them watching the Grinch and I went out and got on the live stream, Pulp Fiction got on the TV. I really don't.
Maybe you shouldn't be babysitting.
There was other people here. I was outside.
I'm just saying, you know.
You opened yourself up to that one.
You
Dan.
really-
I was not the adult in charge of nothing but television.
Well, anyways, that's a really interesting movie.
I did not change the channel.
So I decided I'm going to go with, and again, one of the great things about this is there are a number of short-lived ones, and many that people don't recall or never heard of, and that's actually a lot of the fun. You can actually educate people about these. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never knew that, and a lot of them are actually available right here on YouTube. So I'm going to go with one many people will little note or long remember. I'm going to go with Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Fast Times at Ridgemont High was cutting edge Gen X flick. It was part coming of age film. It was the first movie, at least in my opinion, that I felt it wasn't just a teen sex comedy. It really had its pulse on my generation and talked about a lot of things that were actually really going on at the time. So the movie really, really, really spoke to me as a Gen Xer. And I want to say it was not long later, but like a few years later, I think it was actually in college. It came out with a TV series, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be great. And it was not. And the main thing they did was they had to sanitize it for TV. So they had to take out all the sex, all the drugs, and all the bathroom humor. And what you had left is nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
Fast
that's
Times
more
at
about the
Ridgemont
movie
High
or my
was one of the-
generation, but it just I remember watching the first episode and being just
Dismally disappointed.
bored. You know?
But that was one of the worst TV shows that were ever created. And I like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the movie, a lot, but I swear to God, at my age now, all I can remember is the chick with the boobs by the pool.
Phoebe Cates.
That's all I can remember about that movie. And some guy ordered pizza in the high school class or something.
And Taylor Negron delivered it.
It's because he ordered.
Rest in peace, Mr. Negron.
Yeah, Tracy brings up Delta House, which was also terrible.
Didn't we mention that last week?
We did. We talked
I
about it.
actually
Yeah.
like Delta House better than Fast Times, the show.
I never saw the Fast Time show, so I have no opinion as to.
I
It
didn't see
was
the movie
dull.
or the show.
It was just dull. It just there was
Unless
nothing
I'm not
going on.
mistaken, these episodes are available on YouTube, and that's probably where I saw them years later.
Possibly.
Yeah, and there's also Weird Science, which is also
Yeah, well, that's another dismal nightmare of a show.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Somebody else mentioned.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that was a great movie. And then that show, I was like, oh, what are you doing? Why?
Wow, a TV show I haven't seen and probably not
Well,
watched.
at the time, though, and I saw somebody else doing a post about this not too long ago, ironically. And what happened was there were a whole slew of shows that were basically a Gen X Sergeant Bilko. It was some precocious, conniving teenager who tried to get past all the grown-ups with his connivingness. And everybody says, can you say Ferris Bueller? So I guess they figured it would fit the zeitgeist. But the problem was, again, they changed so much of it. The thing about Ferris Bueller was that it was unalterably linked to Matthew Broderick. So when you have Matthew Broderick, it's not Ferris Bueller.
Right.
Right?
But I mean,
Yeah.
the show concept was great because you had Parker Lewis Can't Lose. And there were actually a couple more. I can't remember the other, but there were like 4 or 5 of them. Every network had its own teen angst show. And
Yeah.
but
remember
again,
those
I watched Saved by the Bell, so
Yeah.
they went to college. I think they were just at the beach though, but they were in college.
One of my kids had the Saved by the Bell cast poster on their wall as a child.
Oh,
What is wrong? I asked my child, "What is wrong with you?"
I had Star Trek posters everywhere. Of course.
and now it's like Friends. Every time it comes up, all I can think about is poor Dunstan Diamond. Every time someone says Saved by the Bell, it's just my go-to is the tragedy that is Dunstan Diamond.
Yeah.
Poor Screech. You know, once in an episode, he opened his mouth and got radio stations on his feeling. So I don't know how that happened. That was magic.
They
Where's
stole
the
a
speaker?
concept from Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, I remember. I saw both. Like pretty. Yeah, I was just like, oh, nothing original. Awesome.
You know, your TV shows hit the bottom when you start stealing the Gilligan's Island plots.
But they were so good. I mean, there was a time that they got the radio working. I think there was like 8,000 episodes of that. It's like, I mean, how many people came to this island and nobody ever said, "Hey, there's people there," because they're all there for some corrupt reason. I'm like, wow.
Well, that was actually kind of clever. Every time a person came to the island,
Mm.
they came up with a very individual reason why they wouldn't actually tell the castaways were there. They were always trying to hide something. And I thought that was very slick because, I mean, there's only so many excuses for not saving the castaways, but they actually managed to think of something every time.
Yeah, they did get dumped on a lot for them 20 years, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, then they ended it back there, and I was like, wow, that's great writing. Okay. Oh, yeah, we got rescued. We're gonna go out on a boat again. No, I'm sorry, I will never. No. Especially with you
And
guys.
yes,
Will not.
16 Candles would definitely be considered teen angst. Definitely.
Yeah, I think most John Hughes movies would count. Almost all of them. Also, I just wanted to say hi, Gary. Good to see you again.
Yes, Gary. Gary's awesome.
Gary.
So
So Dan's up.
Yes, now it is Dan's turn.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with a movie I heard they were planning to remake. And I just heard about this like yesterday. So it's going to be a couple of months before the filming even starts. But they are remaking. Are you ready for this? You probably heard about it, movie guys. The Creature from the Black Lagoon is getting an actual remake. So that's going to be
Finally doing
interesting.
it.
Huh?
I said they're finally doing it. I know they wanted to for a while.
I heard they are actually planning to go into production at Universal Studios on a remake of The Creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't even know if that's
Is
out yet.
Benicio del Toro doing it?
I don't know. I just heard on one of them advanced movie leaks where they're talking about stuff that you shouldn't know. And
If
No.
he's doing it, there's hope. If anyone
I
else
saw
is
it,
doing
quote
it,
unquote. I got a scoop for you. Universal's planning to start production of The Creature from the Black Lagoon remake coming up sometime in August.
Okay,
That's all it
to answer your question, I just looked it up. No, it is not Guillermo del Toro. It's actually James Wan. So,
Well, so I don't know director or
it
whatever.
takes one to know one.
James Wan, he did the Conjuring movies and Saw, and
The first
Saw?
one.
That wasn't too bad.
So
well,
they're
Saw
gonna-
was him and Lee Winnell, and Lee Winnell actually made the really good remake of The Invisible Man.
So they're going to do
I like-
it as a
Are we
horror
talking about
movie.
which Invisible Man remake? They spent one with Chevy Chase and
I saw that one. That was funny.
yeah,
That's
and then there was one with that crazy guy. What's his name?
You'll have to narrow it down.
That's kind of the whole point of the Invisible Man is that he's crazy.
Maybe Kevin.
Oh, Kevin Bacon, that's Hollow Man. Yeah.
No, yeah,
He's
Hollow
crazy,
Man.
Kevin
I'm talking about the
Bacon's
remake from
crazy?
just a few years ago.
I thought he was
Yeah,
the same
he's-
person in Hollywood. Although he did marry his cousin.
Wow.
The
Anyway.
character in the movie was the crazy guy.
Yes. Because he was
Ah, yes,
the
Or
Invisible
crazier
Man.
than the rest of them, anyway.
I don't know. That movie, The Hollow Man, kind of lost me.
Across the line,
Yeah,
I
He was
saw
a
right
little-
through it.
he was a little. He was a little too hollow for me.
I like
had
mine
no
better.
substance. No substance to it.
Now I see it.
Okay. Now, what I was saying is, I'm excited because they're remaking the Creature from the Black Lagoon for the first
But-
time. It's going to be an actual Creature from the Black Lagoon movie.
But it's going to
Unlike
suck,
the unofficial-
Dan. You know it's going to suck.
Unlike the unofficial remake called Humanoids from the Deep, which went down a whole different direction.
Yes, it did. It did. But Dan, whenever they try to remake movies like this, they're awful. That's why if Del Toro did it, because he had such love for that movie,
I
he might pull
disagree
it
with
off.
you. Look at the countless
Snow White.
look at the countless great remakes of Dracula. The countless, well, mostly some of them might be great remakes of Frankenstein. There are good remakes of classic horror movies.
There
I
are.
speak up for the Creature from the Black Lagoon. He deserves a chance.
I'm actually on Dan's side here. I always want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, you know, a remake, especially the Universal classics. I think the Universal classics are always ripe for remakes. I mean, Hammer did it better than anybody else ever has, but I still think that you could make a good version of Creature from the Black Lagoon today. Is James Wan going to pull it off? I doubt it, but it is possible.
The thing, if you do Creature of the Black Lagoon and you do it as a love triangle, it'll work. If you do Creature of the Black Lagoon and make it just a body slasher movie where the monster comes out and slashes a few people here and there, like something out of, I don't know, Saw, I think it's going to be gratuitous. So let's just say I am not optimistic at its chances, but you know what? I will defer to the two of you and I will give it a chance. I will
say the odds are high that it's going to be better than the Mummy remake, the one with
well, that's like saying, you know,
I don't know. I hope
be
they
worse
go
than
a
another
little bit
gangster
more
movie.
horror with it. I don't want to see a goddamn Beauty and the Beast with a fish. I
Yeah,
want
that's
to see
just Shape of
horror.
Water.
I want to see some horror stuff.
No, and I actually do think that if you're going to remake the Universal horrors, the classic horror, you have to make them horror movies. You can't just make them goofy.
I want to see some blood and guts, and I ain't
Oh,
how
no,
that come in the water.
Well, there was plenty of horror in the Creature of the Black Lagoon, but there was an actual story behind it. And that's what makes it so endearing. There's an actual story
Well, of
behind it.
course.
I mean, there's plenty of horrific scenes in, and I'm surprised it's taking this long to bring it up, in The Shape of Water. There's some really like, oh, wow, scenes in The Shape of Water. But The Shape of Water, when he was doing it as a love letter to the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Well, yeah, because he couldn't get the Creature from the Black Lagoon off the ground, so he made The Shape of Water instead.
And he borrowed so greatly from Let Me Hear You Whisper.
Okay,
Let Me Hear You Whisper
he
tried to
couldn't get
sue
the
him.
Creature from the Black Lagoon for that, but they could get it for Monster Squad.
There's that.
Is something wrong in this universe or what?
A great many things.
Yeah.
It's going downhill.
Universal.
I just got in trouble by Universal the other day.
Copyright claims too, by the way.
I'm so sick of you.
I'm not going to start.
Oh yeah, dude! I put up a small clip, right, of a horror movie of these cats that are like killing people or something. Anyways, it's like a 70s movie or something. Anyways, and this guy is like, or this chick goes like down the hill backwards in a wheelchair, right, with this cat on her lap. It's like, ah. Anyways, it was really funny. And then it's like blocked around the world, and I'm like, awesome.
I saw this cartoon when I was a kid, and I've never been able to find it since. I can't even find references to it on the internet, where it was the Creature from the Blue Lagoon, where it starts as the Blue Lagoon with the two characters in love, and then the Creature from the Black Lagoon just comes out of the water and kills them. I thought it was like Bambi meets Godzilla kind of thing, and I loved it so much, and I can't find it. I can't even find anybody who's ever seen it.
Have you seen the one that's out now where it's the giant claw versus Godzilla?
No.
It's only 8 seconds long. It's a short fight.
I can imagine.
No. Wow. Okay.
Anyway,
Anyway.
so I share Thrash's skepticism that the creature from the Black Lagoon remake will be good, but at the same time, I want to share Dan's enthusiasm because I
can't
applaud.
criticize. Hey, I'm glad they're remaking it. I'm glad they're giving it a chance, and I can't tear it apart and criticize it till they make it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Somebody's
kinda
looking
what I
forward to
do.
And if
that.
it is terrible, you can
Okay.
have a lot of fun ripping in a new one.
Yeah, I ain't nothing I like better than taking a poop on a bad movie.
Exactly. It's fun.
Yeah, a lot of people like to do that. Yeah.
I don't do that on this channel, but it is fun.
Well,
Hey,
Okay.
wait a minute. I call them like I see it. Hey, you bring up a movie like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a total comic classic. I support it and tell you how good it was. You bring up a crap like the TV series, I'm going to tell you how big a dismal dump it is.
And it was.
That's what I do.
And it was.
Honesty, man, honesty.
Well, I was going to bring up
Such a lonely bird.
Planet of the Apes because it's had so many different remakes. But instead, I'm actually going to talk about something else. I want to talk about the Rollerball remake because it is one of the most terrible remakes ever made. It's like right up there with The Day the Earth Stood Still. It's very close. Which one is actually worse? Rollerball was such a bad remake that the director, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
He doesn't deserve one.
Yeah, anyway, he went to jail, went to federal prison because of the Rollerball remake. He was embezzling money.
Oh. I was gonna say, they passed the Godfather 3 laws where if you make a really bad movie, they put you in jail.
He should have gone to jail for that remake. It's so bad. It is one of the most uniquely terrible remakes because Rollerball, I think, is a perfect movie to remake. It's a classic, but at the same time, it's a flawed classic, so you could update it and make it better. I really do believe that. But the remake, instead of doing that, takes everything that is good about the original and just ruins it. Completely and utterly ruins it. Gives it this like early 2000s jock rock soundtrack. The editing is frenetic. The cameraman can't stand still for half a second. Jean Reno's there just going the entire movie. It is so bad. I can't even begin to explain why it's so bad. There's even like a 10-minute long action scene that is entirely done in night vision because they forgot to turn the camera settings
Who
properly.
was the star of Rollerball?
I can't
The
remember
original was
actor's
James
name.
Caan.
No, the original was
We're
James
talking a
Caan,
real
yeah.
old movie. That's like the 70s or something.
Yeah, it's the 70s.
72.
Yeah.
70. Yeah, I remember seeing that piece of garbage when I was a kid. Yeah.
I was pretty harsh on it in my review on my channel, and a lot of people have called me out on it, but I stand by it. I think Rollerball was a good movie, but also a very flawed movie. It has some very, very big problems, which is why I think
technical
you should
issues,
remake it.
apparently.
But
I watched it because I think you reviewed it or something, and
yeah,
I wasn't all impressed with it. I don't like the guy that played in it, though, so
you don't like James Caan?
he just annoys me for some reason.
Well, he's better than Chris Klein. I'll give you that. He's the guy who plays him in the remake, and he's just so bad.
There was just always something about him that was a little annoying. I don't
I am inclined to agree.
Like- know. I wouldn't shake his hand because I think he might have a disease or something.
I've never seen the Rollerball remake. I was warned not to, and I took people.
Please
up on
don't.
that warning.
It'll give you cancer.
Oh my gosh.
The thing
I did not see
about
the remake of that movie because I didn't like the original.
when I first saw Rollerball when I was like 12 or 13, I didn't like it. I literally made myself watch it again, probably because I was a James Caan fan. Not to mention John House. John Houseman is amazing in it. So I've watched it a few times, and to be honest, I think the problem is I think it bit off way more than it could
Just
chew.
trying to do way too many things at once.
Is it a dystopian film? Is it a satire? Is it an action film? It's one of the, as you and I have talked about on several occasions, Tug. It's one of those movies that would make a great Netflix miniseries where they can address a number of different topics over episodes.
If you'd have put old Charlton Heston in there instead of that goofy guy and thrown a little bit more blood in it, that movie would have been a.
He couldn't have been in every single 70s sci-fi movie. Come on.
He was getting a little long in the tooth.
70s movie if you want to be successful and good.
Although he did look like an aging athlete. He really did. And
Or old Burt Reynolds. You gotta have one of them too. You know?
Burt Reynolds actually would have been pretty good.
He was
Yeah.
pretty.
What he
He would have been a little too comic. Remember the James Gunn character? He's
I know he can play
stoic.
serious. You ever see The Longest Yard? Burt can deliver a performance right there, but especially
he
on them
can.
sports movies.
Look,
And
I
he
love
does
James
play-
Caan. I don't think he's great in Rollerball. I think there's many different actors from the 70s who could have done that and probably done a better job. But John Houseman, I'm with you. John Houseman, you can't replace him. He is fantastic in Rollerball. He's the best thing about the movie, in my opinion.
You know what I think would Jim Brown. Make
There you
Jim
go.
Brown the main character.
That could have worked.
As a sort of aging athlete who thinks he's still got it, but they're trying to like put him out to pasture. He would have been perfect.
But anyway, Dan, if you didn't like the original, watch the remake, and the original will look like Citizen freaking Kane.
I did see I think a trailer for the remake. I did see that.
If you've seen the trailer, you've seen the movie. Just imagine that trailer going for 2 hours. The whole editing style and everything. It's like a 2 hour long trailer. It's terrible.
To be honest, I had never really liked movies like that. You know,
Oh,
even
God.
remotely sports orientated. There's only been a couple of sports orientated movies that I actually liked, no matter what the sport was. I didn't even like. I especially
That's
don't
a
like
whole nother subject. But yeah,
I
Sports
especially don't like
movies.
race cars.
Love them or hate
They're
them, they
really
exist.
awesome.
Pacific Rim is actually a sports movie. If you watch
Yes.
it. With that
Yes, yeah, I finally watched that movie, and I wish I hadn't still, but
Oh, come on.
no, man, I was like, I don't ever want to see that again.
That's the
No.
one with the big robots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh.
I always
man.
thought it's because they wanted to do Neon Genesis Evangelion but couldn't get the rights to it.
Basically,
It was still
yeah, that's
production
what it-
hell,
that's
so
what
they
it
made
feels like.
Kaiju instead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it
well,
is-
I did want to say hi to Tristan. He's in the chat, and since
Tristan.
he's here, I'll mention Drunken Master. It's a great remake of Drunken Master too. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted. Continue talking about Pacific Rim if you like.
The thing about Pacific Rim I think is amazing is the subplot that the global economy is collapsing. Just they have a problem, but it's a bad problem, and they're solving the problem. But that's not the problem. The problem is the global economy is going broke because they have two solutions to the problem. Neither one of them are ideal, and they're basically trying to fund both. And does that sound familiar? Is there a ring of some type of synchronicity there? And one of them is build a wall. I'm just saying.
What are you trying to? What are you,
Can't never go wrong when you build a wall right there, buddy.
I'm just saying. It worked so well for the French in the 1930s. Ooh, again. Ooh.
Hi, Chrissy.
Chrissy.
well, yeah,
Well, you see right
Anyway,
there's the
Pacific
problem.
Rim,
When you're building
never.
a wall, you got to build a real wall, like the wall of China. You can't build a French wall, which is
That
just
didn't
a
work
little
either.
spot here and a little
Yeah,
spot
the wall
there.
didn't work either. Good point.
The Great Wall didn't work either.
You know, you just need a big wall. You don't need
Wasn't
that
it
spot here,
Napoleon
little
who
spot there.
said fixed defenses are the hallmark of the small-minded or something like that?
Hey, if you're gonna build
Walls
something,
don't
if you're gonna build something like a wall, get you some Mexicans or the Chinese. Don't get the French to build it. They can't build walls.
Anyway, High Texas
I'm not a-
Night, and you're right. Any movie with Ron Perlman can't be that bad, and Ron Perlman might be the best thing about Pacific Rim, honestly.
well, anyway,
Charlie Day was really good in it too.
Well, that's
So,
true. Charlie Day's
so Pacific Rim never once, okay? Just never once with that. All right, there we go.
I'm whatever. We're gonna move on.
I want Ron Perlman for president. He talked about running a few years ago. I want Ron Perlman to be president.
No more.
Clancy
actors,
Brown
you
could be
know.
the VP. It's like Back to the Future all over again. Okay, future boy. In 1985, who's president? And the entire audience bursts out laughter. You don't know where it's going.
The actor?
Ronald Reagan, the actor. Best line ever. So Sarah, then you're up.
Yes,
Or
no,
are
sorry,
you talking about
it is
Pacific
working.
Rim?
Oh, no, I would never
That's
talk about
not a
that.
remake of
That's
anything.
yeah.
Except maybe Robot Shots.
Or Evangelion?
Well, anyways, it was awful. Anyway, but moving on. There was something I wanted to bring up. This is because of another thing of Geek here, okay? So, was it last Thursday? you uploaded that short of you singing the song for Rocky Horror Picture Show, right?
Right. Yes.
And so I must have to bring up now that remake they did on Fox. Anyways, that was interesting. Now, the only good thing about that was that, after what's his bucket had his stroke or whatever, he was in there and he played the guy in the wheelchair. I can't even think of what the name is of anybody now. But did anybody else see that
Tim
on Fox
Curry.
that one time? No? Yeah, Tim Curry. Yes, thank you. I love that man. Anyways,
I never
moving
saw
on.
the remake. I had never had any interest in seeing it.
Well,
I
okay, so
tried.
I only watched it because he was in it and he was after the stroke. And like I said, he's one of my favorite actors of all time, right? I really love Tim Curry, right? So I watched
Well,
it.
who doesn't?
Well, right. Anyway, so I watched it and his role was awesome. He barely got his lines out, but he was there. He was awesome to see him again after the stroke, like I said. Anyways, that was my favorite part of the whole remake because he was there. And now I think they did other stuff in there. I don't remember. But that movie was awesome. And I just, nobody else saw that? Okay.
Like I said, never had any interest. Yeah.
Well,
They
yeah,
actually remade Rocky Horror.
They did.
Yeah,
They
they
did.
did.
I am so glad I missed that.
You are very lucky you have missed that. Although I gotta tell you,
I never even heard that. I didn't even hear a rumor of that.
Oh, it was terrible. It was
Oh,
terrible.
God, now I've got to look it up and actually watch this piece of garbage. Thank you very much.
But,
You're welcome.
the funniest part is, I thought the opening sequence with the concession girl, where she does a late night picture show.
Well, yeah, that was in the original version of Rocky Horror.
Exactly. In fact, there's a story. Wasn't there's supposed to be a montage, but it didn't work, so they had to rush to do the whole limp shtick.
Yes.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah,
wasn't it
the
live
last
too? It was
minute thing.
like it was a live performance of it too. So it was.
And the
I
actress who
Hey,
played
I
Miranda,
remember-
she almost quit the movie because of
Hey.
it, because she couldn't sing the song.
Check this out. I remember back in the day when the VHS copy of the Rocky Horror Picture Show first come out, and you could own a copy of it and play it at home. I run out and bought a VHS copy for like $30, and that was a deal because most VHS movies were $70 back then. And I got one for $30, and I still got it back here in the plastic and have not opened it yet.
Wow.
Yeah,
I remember
Yes.
the Rocky Horror Picture Show when it came out on Laserdisc, and it actually had that separate audio track where you could actually
Oh.
learn all the different things you're supposed to stream at the screen.
That's why you became a dang old Rocky Horror expert right there, didn't you?
Exactly. Yes.
How many times did you been to see the show dressed up?
Dressed up? I think I only went dressed up once, but I've
Only
been to
once?
the show
I find that hard to believe.
maybe half a dozen times, maybe more. I don't remember. It was a lot.
I have to say, embarrassingly, I have been dressed up like Meatloaf the Biker more than once in my life at a movie.
Oh, come on. You gotta
Hey,
that's boring. That's easy.
Meatloaf's awesome.
I was
man.
Frank.
I wasn't
Oh, nice.
I wasn't about to be the street transvestite right there, by.
All right, so Geek, do you still have these outfits? Because ask you for Thursday.
No, I do not.
Dang it, we need to play a tug dress up or something. It's gonna be great. It'll be an awesome show. Everybody, he's a judge. He promise.
I'll be Rocky.
You done missed out
For Rocky.
real show.
Even I'm horrified at that.
Well, I'll be Janet then.
my favorite anecdote of the Rocky Horror Picture Show is when it was still being conceptualized by Richard O'Brien. Tim Curry just happened to live in the area, and they bumped into each other one morning, and he's like, "Well, what are you up to today?" And Richard said, "I'm heading to the gym. I'm trying to find bodybuilders who can sing." And Tim Curry looks at me and goes, "Why do you need them to sing?" He goes, "Will you be in this play?" That was it. It's like, you have to be in this play. It was just so cute the way Tim Curry said it. Why do you have to do that?
Well, Tim Curry, he's awesome. What can I say?
Indy, I regret to inform you that I have worn fishnets more than once in my life.
It's a free country. Well,
Well, anyways, that's hot.
I was caught in a fishnet.
Okay, well, that explains everything.
Less said about that.
I
the
never
better.
have, but I've worn them on my arms, of course.
Call me Aquaman because I was caught in a fishnet.
Wow.
I'm sorry to know where that came from. I became a 13-year-old boy again for some reason. I don't know.
It happens.
I like Gary Carpenter is like half an hour behind, so like his comments are from half an hour ago. It's great. I love it.
Well, anyways, yeah. So sorry about that one too. I should have not made a list, I think.
Yes, Crow. Tim Curry was a serial killer, and I think you're right. I think it was Criminal Minds. I vaguely remember.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was, and he had these really bad meth teeth. Oh, it was awful.
That's
Anyways,
right.
He's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good at that. Yeah, like I said,
Jonathan Frakes also played a serial killer on Criminal Minds.
Well, yeah, he was also a. Never mind. We don't need.
Yeah, he was a thing you can't say on YouTube. Yes.
Right. Yeah, he was one of them, and I was like, "When did this happen?" Number one. Anyway, so yeah. My friend is a really big Trekkie like myself, right? And Jonathan Frakes is like her favorite from PNG, and so that was not her favorite episode. Oh,
I wonder why.
Right?
Okay, so Thresh, it is now your turn again.
Oh crap! I should have made a selection.
How dare you be unprepared?
Like I got a bunch of them. I'm just trying to. Let's see. That's a different. Oh,
well, make it count because we're not doing a part 4, by the way. Because next week we're going to talk about Star Wars because it's May 4th.
Never saw it. Well, you know what? You know why I didn't pick a selection? Because you actually made it for me. You mentioned Planet of the Apes.
I'm so glad. That's what I was hoping you would do.
So I am going to take it upon myself, and I know you're gonna like share your views as well. I'm going to do specifically one incarnate. Well, actually, technically two. The movie series, which is great, but there's one weird thing about the movie series which I never realized when I was a youth. It suffers from, as we've talked about on several occasions, once it decided to slip into time travel. The whole thing kind of derails itself. Yeah. But it's still one of my favorite film franchises of all time. Oh, Dog. Puppy. Oh, Puppy.
Animals always take precedence.
A boy and his dog. Which was almost a TV series as well. But that's another story.
Yeah.
Dog's gone. The TV show from the 1970s was literally my favorite TV show when I was a kid. My best friend and I, we used to get special permission to have sleepovers on a weeknight. And one week he would come over to my house and bring the snacks. And the next week I'd go over to his house and bring the snacks. But it was like a TV event. And it was, even though it did kind of go rogue on the canon, I think it worked very, very, very well. There was excellent world building, and the characters were absolutely outstanding. And they managed to keep Dr. Zaius, which is a lot of people's favorite. And the new characters they introduced were great as well. I mean, they still had a Roddy McDowell chip, and General Urko is one of the best villains in TV history. Oh, and I just want to throw this out here just while we're on the subject. The cartoon show was pretty good too. It wasn't great animation, but it was a lot of fun.
I've actually never seen the cartoon. I've seen the TV show, but I've never seen the cartoon.
But
yeah, right, of course. I love the TV show. Like it hasn't aged well, but it is still great. I still love it. Yeah. But I also like the movie remakes. I mean, you open the door. I have to talk about them. I absolutely love them. I think they are fantastic. I think War for the Planet of the Apes might be my favorite Planet of the Apes movie. Yes, even beating out the original Charlton Heston. But the remakes are more serious. They are more violent. They are a lot more hardcore. I mean, the original is a serious movie. It really is. But I don't know, the modern iteration.
Hey, credit where credit's due. Y'all picked a subject I can't really say nothing bad about. I love everything to do with Planet of the Apes. I even had the toys when I was a kid. Hey, I even liked the stupid cartoon, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say nothing else because I like everything Planet of the Apes.
I've never been into Planet of the Apes at all. I mean, it's something I will have to watch because as a kid, it was just one of those things that, people would watch and I would just be like, that looks boring. And I'm going to go do something else, right? Mostly Star Trek related. But so the one thing that sticks in my mind about it that makes you do want to watch them, right, is an episode of The Simpsons, right, where they do a spoof on that. Yeah. So that always stuck in my head. So I was like, it's one of those things I've got to see because The Simpsons told me to. The Simpsons said it, so yeah, you gotta go watch it now.
Okay,
And it's-
Andy unfortunately had to bring it up. Yes, there is a Mark Wahlberg version, and the less said about that version of Planet of the Apes, the better.
Yeah, you and I agree with that.
Wait a minute now. Hold on.
I
said
don't like
like
Warborg anyways.
I like everything Planet of the Apes. I do not hate the Mark Wahlberg version. You have to look at it as an alternative Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, I don't hate it, but it is
Planet of the
definitely the worst version of Planet of the Apes.
Apes. Agreeable with that.
I do love Tim Roth as the evil ape.
He's amazing.
He's fantastic. He's the best.
I thought the time travel stuff in that was a little wanky compared to
It was
the
very wanky, especially at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that.
But I also like Tim Burton's sort of world building, the way the ape civilization looked. It looked like an ape civilization would play out to be, at least in my opinion.
I didn't need the Helena Bonham Carter chimpanzee mating scene though. That was
Oh.
unnecessary.
Ah. Oh.
Well, let's face facts. Helen Bonham Carter.
I'm glad I had
She was good in The Matrix, and that's about it.
She was in The Matrix?
Yeah.
Helena Bonham Carter in The Matrix.
Wait. Did I say Matrix? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I said The Matrix. Fight Club. She was in Fight Club.
There you go. Yes.
Oh yeah, Fight Club. Yeah. She
That's
was in
a
Fight Club.
movie to bring up.
Yeah.
Same
He says
year.
Matrix, and we're all, huh?
Same year. They came out the same year.
And she was also terrible in that Terminator movie.
Yeah, anyways, I like Terminator 2. That was a really cool movie. Did you ever like that movie? I like that movie. It was a great movie.
I'm forbidden from talking about Terminator 2. Anyway, Planet of the Apes. I love Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes is great. I even like modern Planet of the Apes. I think it lives up to the original very well.
I even read the stupid little 99-cent Planet of the Apes novels back in the day, man. I was all into it.
Have you ever read the original Pierre Boulle novel?
Yeah, and on top of that, I got the Planet of the Apes comic books back there,
Yeah.
Nice.
I've read some of those.
2 different series.
Yeah.
I'm pathetic.
Anyway, play this. So now it's your turn, Dan. Go for it. What do you got?
Let's bring up another one they're planning to remake. From what I've heard, The Running Man.
Oh, yes, that is coming out in
Arnold
December.
Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura, this incredibly classic, incredibly good movie. And I'm just bringing it up because I hear they're planning to remake it and mess it up.
They're trying to do the Shining thing where, like, the original Running Man, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, has almost nothing in common with the story that it's based on. Whereas with this one, they're trying to stick true to Stephen King's original story, which I've read the story.
Wow.
I don't actually.
This
like
is something by
the story.
Stephen King I actually have not read.
It's not very good.
You know,
it was a Bachman
that's the
novel.
stuff we
Yes.
talk about. I can say, well, I read the Stephen King book back in the
Yeah.
day, you know. But now you're talking about something I actually didn't read.
Well, the funny thing is, in the novella, it's almost like a national game show.
Yeah.
It's sort of like if you was the show America's Most Wanted, if you could win prizes. So they would be following this a fugitive, and you would call in sightings, and if and that's how it's basically a play on reality TV before there was such a thing as reality
Yeah.
TV.
The
When it
problem is
come out-
nowadays that's like
when it
that was
come
like
out,
20
it
years
was,
ago. It's not the
when-
future anymore.
No,
You
Well, now it's
but
more
like I said,
dystopian.
when it come out, it was a shining emblem of the times.
Yeah.
It did really well on kind of that because of all the reality crap on TV at the time.
And Richard Dawson.
Richard
Yeah.
Dawson.
Take a wrong with Richard Dawson. Anything Richard Dawson,
Richard Dawson.
gold.
And when I did my video on Total Recall, and I really looked into what people were saying about Richard Dawson on set, is that he's not really playing a character. He's pretty much as evil as he was in the movie.
Well, that's
Wow.
bad.
I like the original Total Recall, and then when they made that, whatever that was, I was like, I'm not going.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm not even going to look at whatever
Instead
that
of going
was.
to Mars, we're just going to travel right through the center of the Earth because that makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm not even.
One
I
thing
don't
I'll
even
say
know.
about Richard Dawson, the one thing I'll say about Richard Dawson, when I watched the Family Feud, once in a while he come off a little on the old creepy side right there.
He was apparently a big creep. Yeah.
Yeah, just saying he come off creepy to me a little bit, but I did like Richard.
He married a former contestant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a Hogan's
course.
Heroes fan.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well,
don't
yeah,
get me wrong,
but-
I love Richard Dawson as an actor, but as a human being, apparently he was terrible. So.
No,
Well,
he was-
listen,
he was
he
a
kissed
creep and an elitist.
everything.
Yeah.
He kissed everything. It was weird.
When
I
I
kissed
was
a couple
a
Asians,
kid,
I was like,
when I was a kid, I liked Bill Cosby and I Spy, but things might be a little different now.
Yeah,
well,
there's
I think
that,
Bill
too.
Cosby as the devil was the best role he ever did, and The Devil and Max Devlin. I was like,
Devlin.
my favorite movie ever, and it turned out right. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Well,
You're
you
devil the whole
think
time.
movies
It's funny
always
'cause-
work out good when you play yourself.
The
Terrible.
movie Autofocus has a lot of notoriety. In
I would
fact,
not like
Chance,
that.
Yes.
Chance has talked about it on several occasions, and the consent, not just Chance, other people who are familiar with the story say it borders on slander. I mean, they took such liberties with the story, and whatever he did, Bob Crane is literally nothing like the character. One thing most people who are at least familiar with the story are in consensus of, the few scenes that have Richard Dawson, they go, yes, that's exactly who he's like. He was a depravo. He was condescending. He was ew. He was an ew. So I think it's funny that a movie that is universally considered historically accurate is accurate when it knocked on Richard Dawson. So it's like, it's funny.
There you go.
But
Yeah.
I'll leave it to him to mention Dust Millions. I love it when people mention something really obscure that I actually know and have seen. Anyway, sorry.
That's okay.
Autofocus. Yeah, I didn't even know about autofocus until Chance started talking about it. Like, I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't know that movie existed.
I saw the theaters,
Right.
actually, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah,
I'm sorry, I had to
it's
dip away
JFK.
for a minute because my dog was eating the neighbor's cat again.
Yeah, notorious.
I have jokes, but I'm not going to say them. This is a family show.
Ah. Well, save them for Thursday.
Well, I made my dog Ted Bundy.
And Slasher also brings up the point that the Running Man was probably an influence on the Hunger Games, which, yeah, I can see that. Sure.
I don't like the Hunger Games. Oh my gosh, how boring.
I like the first one. I don't like any of the sequels.
Well, I
No,
saw the
no,
first one. I was
let
so
me
bored. I
point
didn't
out,
see any of them.
That's why you don't let the dog out while I'm on a show. Just say the man. I'm sorry.
Oh, do you think I look like Wash? Why, thank you. I'll take that.
You know, it's actually kind of funny.
A leaf on the wind.
Stephen King gets a lot of flack because he made these like sort of like wild references to what the future would be like, and he was at least quasi correct on so many of them. People are like, okay, Steve, what did you know? And he goes, no, this is just good fiction 40 years ago. Now it's just surprisingly accurate.
Yeah, apparently for him, cocaine was like the spice on Arrakis. It was allowing him to see the future.
Oh my god.
Hey, it worked for Sigmund Freud.
Whatever makes it come out good.
Texas Night, without getting really political, I think the answer to the question of why Hollywood can spend millions of dollars on a remake and make it be terrible, like say something like Snow White, is they're trying so hard to play it safe that they wind up ruining everything. Like, they're trying to appease the entire audience, and in so doing, they wind up appeasing nobody. And yeah, they get all these weird messages into their movies through like the echo chamber that is Hollywood, the Los Angeles culture. And that does not resonate with most of America. So like most of America has no interest in turning Snow White into a communist fairy tale. No. So it's stuff like that. And I think Hollywood is so, for lack of a better term, up its own ass, that it doesn't know how to appease general audiences anymore. It really has no idea. And so it's just trying to remake things. It's trying to say, you liked this before, it made us a lot of money. Why won't you like it now? That seems to be what's happening to me.
Because we didn't want it made terrible. That was what you missed.
Right.
Because
Weird.
nobody in Hollywood no more has no creativity, and the only thing they can do is remake stuff from 30 and 40 years ago because
Well, yeah, because of the way the industry is going, they can't afford to take risks anymore. And so they don't foster that kind of creativity. They don't foster that kind of creative risk where you make like a wild movie that may not appease anybody, or that may not like gain traction, maybe like a sleeper hit. You can't really make movies like that anymore in Hollywood because of the way the industry's set up, and because theaters are dying very slowly. It's only going to get worse. Sorry.
Yeah, well, there you go. Anyways,
got
theaters,
really
man. Yeah, theaters. I remember them.
Yeah, I think the thing that happened in 2020 started the beginning of the end for movie theaters.
Oh yeah, a bunch of theaters closed up in this area, man. I was like, oh, well, there you
and
go.
movie theaters are still trying to recover from that. And Hollywood doing what Hollywood does is not helping.
They're like, look, we can make this worse for you. They're like, why? You don't have to. It's like,
And
you
yes,
have options
indeed,
out there, people.
I do think a lot of the sleeper hits, the things that are creatively interesting and filmically interesting, tend to be TV series these days. So a lot more money is being poured into television, like streaming services, until that bubble bursts, which will happen eventually. That's where So
Man, I'll be glad when they put those series back on TV on ABC, NBC, and CBS where they belong, and quit on streaming them on. I think it's unfair to do that and not give everybody a chance to watch them.
it's hard. Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I found
Unfair money grab. They ought to be crucified for that shit.
I found a new free movies or TV streaming site accidentally on my TV, my smart TV, right? It's smart. Woo. Anyways, and I found some original V, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. So I watched that earlier this week too. I was like, oh yeah.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I got a Roku, and once every 3 months on Roku, you get these 20-day trials, so I can get Netflix or something for 20 days and whatever. And I use that once every 3 months to catch up on the shows I want to see for free. I'm not going to pay for that crap. But the best series I've seen, which is kind of a remake from an old TV series, is the new Wednesday Addams thing. Wednesday.
Yeah, I've heard that's really good. I haven't seen it.
I've heard that's good too. People said that's right.
I don't know that girl playing Wednesday. That girl playing
Jenna
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
That girl is on fire, boy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She is
every
perfect
time
for
I
the
can
part.
watch that.
She tears it up, man.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good, actually. I
Jenna
saw it
Ortega.
just to give it a shot, but
Ortega, that's her name.
Yeah,
Jenna
Jenna
Ortega. Jenna Ortega.
Ortega.
Who
Yeah,
doesn't
we're
love
gonna take a
Speed
highway
with
out
Sabrina
here.
Carpenter in that music video? Not that I checked that out.
Anyway, Slasher Fred brings up The Ring. That's one of those cases where the remake was actually made by the same guy who made the original. Like, he made the Japanese original, Ringu, and then 4 years later came to Hollywood and made it in Hollywood. Like, made the same movie again in Hollywood. And I love The Ring. The Ring is one of my favorite horror movies from the 2000s. I think it's great. The first 5 minutes are cheesy as hell, but the rest of the movie is really good.
There was a string of American remakes of Japanese horror films at that time, wasn't there? There were a few.
Yeah, like The Grudge and The Ring, and yeah,
The Ring is the one with the girl at the TV and all that.
Yeah. The long hair coming out of the TV. Yeah.
7 days.
7 days.
Whenever I see that, all I think of is the scene where the girl comes out the TV and it's on that show. Oh, what's the name of that show? Family Guy, and Quagmire is standing there going giggity, giggity, giggity.
Giggity.
I gotta say, Japanese urban legends just have a way of getting into your head. I don't know, like, 'cause the Japanese is such a charming people, but when they talk about ghost stories and stuff, it's really sort of
yeah, man, and that is a deep rabbit hole. Like, once you start going down that,
have you ever watched Japanese people go on ghost hunts on YouTube? It's really interesting. So, Chinese people too, man, because like, you know, when they're speaking, right, to us just sounds like they're just yelling at everything. It's crazy.
My wife, who doesn't want to go to Japan per se, she wants to go to Japan just to see the haunted forest. The Japanese have another name for it, which you can't see.
Oh, yes, you can't see that
Judas
either.
Option Forest. But she actually wants to see that. I'm like, you do? Yeah,
we'll just call it the Jake Paul.
Okay, you picked the one place I don't want to visit.
Or no, Logan Paul. Sorry, the Logan Paul Forest.
Mrs. Paul. The John and Paul.
Oh. You're awesome, Geek.
But yeah, what is the term for a ghost in Japan? It's yotai or something, and they're so weird. They're like these crazy Jungian archetypes that really get under your skin. There's just something about Japanese ghost stories are way scarier than Western ghost stories, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you eat some bats. You start imagining all kinds of stuff.
Anyway.
Well, anyways. Went out Thursday, but more of that. Oh my gosh.
We went from Wednesday to Thursday.
Yeah, well, we're just going to keep skipping ahead.
So I know it's early, but I can already feel my blood sugar dropping, so I got to go have lunch. I am going to call it here. But are you guys having a show tonight, or is it just Thrash?
Just Pons.
Yeah, because I didn't have my solo last
Pons
week.
is solo
this week. Yeah, solo.
Yeah.
Solo. But as always, everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome.
Hey, let me get one more in there. Let me get one more in, dude.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, one more, because I just got to get this off my chest. Has anybody seen the Popeye remakes that's out? There's 3 of them out, and the worst one's called Popeye the Slayer Man. Popeye has come into the domain, dude. And they are making horror movie knockoffs of Popeye. And there's 3 of them coming out this year that I'll be featuring on my channel, Shock Theater. You can see them.
I look forward to
all
watching your
next
videos, Dan.
That'll be fun. Anyway.
as I tear apart Popeye remakes.
Can the Popeye remakes really be that much worse than the Popeye movie from 1980? Really?
I don't like that movie. That movie was awful.
No, it's what I'm saying. That movie's terrible.
You talking about the Robin Williams classic?
That's not a classic, man.
That's not a
I
classic.
like that movie.
Well, no, excuse me. To me, it's classically awful.
So much blooming singing, it would have been a good movie.
I like that there's finally a movie that I can't stand that you like. That's new.
I didn't say I loved it or nothing. I just said it wasn't
Like,
as
that's
bad as
fine.
everybody made it out to be, except for all the singing. That's what ruined it.
Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
like I said
And I
before,
think,
next
I,
week.
think, I think on that Popeye movie, the old one with Robin Williams, they did the most perfect job ever of casting olive oil.
Olive oil, yeah, I mean that is good casting.
They hit olive oil on the olive oil head.
And she has spinal injuries because of it.
Well, she is the perfect olive oil.
She made that movie tolerable, really, honestly. She was so olive oil.
But anyway, like I said before, next week I'm going to talk about Star Wars. We're going to talk about Star Wars memories, things that we remember about Star Wars, or like when we went and saw Star Wars, something like that, anything like that.
Oh yeah.
So
I have the holiday special on my channel.
Sarah, you ought to introduce Tug to Eric from Gypsy Road. You do.
Yeah.
What is it? Supernatural Crossroads channel. He's a big Star Wars guy. He's got the crystals and all kind of Star Wars stuff. You'd love it.
Just don't ask Eric about Star Trek stuff because he doesn't know and it irritates me. I love you, Eric, but oh my gosh, like not that Eric, but the other Eric. Look, you guys and your Eric names.
There's too many Erics.
Yes, I know all the Erics. I know all the Tims. I know
we
all
won't
the
call
Dans.
him Eric. We'll call him Gypsy Road.
But yeah, okay. Well, anyways, you guys and your names.
So anyway, see you next week. And in about half an hour, I'm dropping a video on Free Jack. So if you like Mick Jagger, you should watch that.
Looks great.
And anyway, yeah, see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you and good night.